Hi, everyone. I want to talk to you today a little bit about my upcoming class about transforming grief. And so sometimes people say, well, how can that possibly be? How can I transform my grief into something else because I am still so missing my person? And if I transform it, aren't I letting them go? And aren't I showing them that I don't really care or showing the world that I don't really care? And all of that is so wrong. As above, so below. And as we release our grief and transform our lives using this energy and wisdom of grief, so too can our loved ones on the other side feel free to move on and experience all the wonders of the other side. So we know about the importance of parenthood and marriage and transforming lives, and our society celebrates those successes and joys. But nobody talks about the wondrous wisdom of grief. In the Lakota societies, the person that is grieving is considered to be closest to spirit, and they're revered. What about if we took a moment to revere ourselves in our grieving process and to really think about how we might move through it and use this grief and the death or the loss for something good, something magnificent, something powerful? So I'm going to take you through the medicine wheel, and we're going to look at many different practices, 16 different practices. Things like that you've heard of before, things like non-judgment, non-suffering, non-attachment, the beauty way, non-doing. So many beautiful practices that we've heard of, and using them in a way, in a sacred way, to transform our grief. And so the sacred way, we're going to be using a candle and a pie pan, and you're going to be able to write down these answers to exercises and then take them to the fire with the intent of releasing and bringing in something new and good into our hearts. And so we're going to do this over the course of 6 weeks. The first class is going to give you an idea of what's coming, and the last class is sort of a wrap-up class. And then the second class will be the south direction, the third class, the west direction. The fourth class is going to be the north direction, and the fifth class is going to be the east direction. And then we're going to finish everything up. So it's going to have some time to go through this process of transformation, resurrection, and rebirth. This is the same process that our loved ones go through when they pass. And we know this from Christian mythology, from Egyptian mythology, all the great mythologies. We know that there's that transition process from life to the afterlife, and then resurrection on the other side, and then rebirth into new lives or into lives on the other side that are wonderful. And so we too, as those left behind, those that are grieving, we are going through that same process of transition, resurrection, and rebirth. And it's such an important process, and it's important for us to go through it so that we can make our lives better and more meaningful. And it's also important for our loved ones that we go through this process so that they can move on in a beautiful way. So I always say, they say, well, if they move on, then I won't have them close to me. And that's just not true, because they're not in prison in the other side. After all, they can come and go, but they're free to come and go, and they're not stuck in between or staying longer than they need to because we're suffering so much and they see us suffering. So don't worry about that either. We never lose them. The other side is really just a veil, a transition away. So they'll always be with us. So I encourage you to join my class and send anybody to this class who that's grieving death or loss of any kind. Divorce is a terrible loss. COVID, much has been lost to COVID. Financial losses, any kind of loss of any kind can go through the same process of transformation, so that there is a way to become unstuck. There's a way to get to the other side of being stuck in our grief and loss. and create something beautiful using the energy of grief, because grief has a tremendous amount of energy. So please join me. It begins September 23rd. You can find the information on my website, karenjohnson.net. Click on services, and it'll give you information and how a place to sign up for the class. So I look forward to seeing all of you, and for all the people that you're going to send and encourage to go on this journey with me, so that we can make something better, something wonderful out of our grief and our loss. All right, many blessings to you.